progress.
Very good. Okay, welcome everyone. It is Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. This is our 2 o'clock regular legislative session meeting. Let's start with a pledge. So if everyone please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So with that, I just want to state that we have all 5 commissioners are present. Commissioner Waldorf is on Zoom today. That we have received written comment, and the written comment that we did receive was for item number 4E, so the commissioners have that. We are striking item number 4C from today's agenda, and that will come back on our agenda sheet for next week. So we'll definitely be doing that next week. With that then, I think that's all the business that I need to get out of the way, and we will open it up for public forum. So this is our opportunity for anyone in the public who would like to come and speak regarding any item that is not on our agenda today. I am not seeing anyone in the audience or anyone online. Second call for anyone wishing to testify or come down and speak to anything that is not on our agenda. Seeing no one, third and final call. With that, I'm not seeing anyone again in the audience or on Zoom, so I will close the open public forum section and look to my fellow commissioners. Well, first I'll check, is there anything that anyone wants to take separately? Chris loves that I look at him.
I can come up with something if you want.
Okay, nothing separately, so I'll look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move to approve items 3 and 4, including all sub-items except for item 4C.
I'll second it. And I'd like to comment too.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second to approve items 3 and 4 on today's agenda and all sub-items excluding item number 4C. So open for discussion. So Commissioner French.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I did want to comment on 3 of the items that I'm very pleased to be able to support. The first is item 4E, which relates to the trolley trail and the improvements in Grandview Thorpe neighborhood and providing additional accessibility to that area for not only conservation purposes, but also for the trail program and stuff. So I'm very pleased to be able to support that. The other item is 4H. This is the second phase of the stormwater improvement program for West Terrace. And we're very optimistic about being able to finish that construction up this summer and addressing a stormwater issue that existed long before I got here, but we will find a solution for that, and I certainly do want to acknowledge the support from the fellow commissioners in terms of trying to meet that need. And then third, and I know that this is something that's been very important to the board, is continued help for those that have been impacted by both the Oregon and Gray fires. And that's for Q, where we're providing funding to help with disaster debris cleanup and stuff. So just wanted to point out those 3 particular items for the benefit of the audience. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak to any of the items? I'm not seeing anyone, so therefore, all those in favor of items 3, 4, and all sub-items, excluding item number 4C on today's agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. I heard everyone's ayes. So thank you very much. We do have a couple of, Commissioner Waldorf, since you're on Zoom, can we use your stamp for today's meeting items?
Yes, thank you.
Very good, thank you. So with that, then, I think we had a couple items that we were going to continue from this morning, miscellaneous items. So I know Pat Bell, our communications director, and then I believe we have two executive sessions, so we will go through those when we get done with that.
Good afternoon, Chair CUNY, members of the board. Pat Bell, your Spokane County Communications Director. Just wanted to briefly go over our process as a refresher on press releases and press conferences. So as you'll all remember, when the board takes a majority position and desires a press release, you would notify me in the public meeting. And an example of that was this Monday where that was done. If there's another desire amongst the board for a press release, do need a majority support before I start drafting and get into that. Whether you do that on email or in the meeting, I think is really up to you. But the process has been working heretofore. I will say when a department requests a press release, those will come up. If there's a quote from the department, it'll be approved by the CEO, and then depending on the issue, circulated to the board. When other board members, an individual board member has been sending out a release, the convention has been to send me an advance copy, although there's no requirement in policy that I'm aware of. It's just a convention you all have adopted or agreed to. And then when two board members do the same, that's also been working, giving me a heads up, mainly to make sure that the message is in alignment, do some proofreading. I don't take the first draft of those as the communications director. I represent the entire county, so I work countywide, and I represent the board, the wider board, not just individual commissioners. Same approach with media. So when we get media requests that come in, the chair is the assigned spokesperson, and so usually discuss those with the chair or in the chair's absence, the CEO, and then formulate a response with the departmental level leadership or staff, the subject matter experts. When it comes to press conferences, those have been relatively one-off to date, but I can think of a few where the board expressed a majority opinion. We've got 3 head nods, desired a press conference, and then our communications office, which as I described this morning is now a 3-person shop, is how we're organized and structured. Either myself or one of our other communication staff will take the lead for you on organizing the press conference. We'll send out invitation, a media advisory to the press, making them aware of the date, time, and place, subject, and purpose. And same goes for when we are having a press conference with another independently elected official. We would, I think the desire I've heard expressed is to notify all of the commissioners. And depending on who's been invited by the other elected official, maybe 1, 2 of you, maybe none of you. But when I become aware of those, I try to circulate those for awareness. So happy to stand for any questions.
Any questions? Commissioner Jordan.
Just a refresher, when an individual commissioner or 2 send out a press release, we are all sending that to each other as well. Is that something that we agreed to earlier this year?
At the retreat, when we
Yeah.
had the retreat, that was the courtesy
Okay.
to ensure that if anyone's choosing to do a press release, to make sure that goes to all the other commissioners, just as a courtesy, so that way a commissioner doesn't get blindsided by the
Yes.
press.
Okay, sounds good. Happy to agree to that.
One other item I'll mention, when you individually are reached out to by a member of the media or a citizen journalist or someone else and they've contacted you directly, you're always free and welcome to forward those to my office or to me if you would like assistance with it in terms of setting up an interview, vetting the request in terms of what they might be looking for, trying to help gather some information. It is helpful to be aware of those so I know what questions which commissioners are getting. And sometimes, depending on the reporter and their level of expertise and experience, they may think to consult 1 or 2 commissioners or get a different perspective, and they may say, can you give me somebody who's pro and con on this issue? And so whether it was Measure 1 or any other issue where that's come up in the past year, the past 3-4 months, it's been my goal to give kind of equal opportunity in those interviews when I know there's commissioners on different sides of the issues.
Yeah, and I think, again, a courtesy that any media inquiries that we get directly should go just to Patrick, not that Patrick's going to be interceding in those, but just so he's aware of the communications that are going on and which media sources are requesting it and the purpose of their requests. So I know I just keep forwarding you all the information I get.
Great. One last item I'll mention too is on videos. So as time allows and as bandwidth allows, there's been a few kind of special requests for some video work, either clipping from these public meetings. Jessica on our team is our digital content manager and could be helpful with that. If we're looking for something a little bit more creative, we may need to contract out for that depending on the complexity of the project. But if it's usually under 2 minutes and just a few settings around the campus, we can accommodate those as well. And that's, any individual commissioner can reach out to us. Same with any communications planning assistance you might desire for the upcoming year or a big event. Event marketing, as you know, is a specialty of our departments as well, and we have someone dedicated to that, event marketing, event promotion.
Commissioner Waldron?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that you outlined, Pat, exactly what we had discussed earlier, and then Commissioner Jordan's point about giving folks a heads up, fellow commissioners. Do you think you could put that in like a bulleted format, just so I don't forget any of the steps? Do you have that written down,
Yes.
the kind of procedure?
Yeah, I'd be happy to memorialize that in a communications office protocol document that I can circulate, very similar to the proclamation document, just outlining the steps. And then if that changes or there's desired changes, you can all make me aware of those. And if there's a majority that I guess wants to change them, we can do that. But that's probably the most flexible approach from my perspective.
Yeah, and I guess,
Yeah, that would be great. I'd appreciate that. Then we can review it in writing as well.
Understood?
yeah, and I think if there's, anything that would require costs, so you're saying if it's a 2-minute video, that's not a big deal, but if it's beyond that and we need to contract out, then I would think that that'd be something that commissioners would want to discuss, or it would come out of an individual commissioner's budget, not out of anyone else's budget, because that would be, I haven't seen that yet, but, just in case, as I'm
Sure.
thinking through.
Yeah, I have a very limited, in the communications office, very limited budget. And there's a very small budget in there for professional services. We also have, I think, the budget in there, or maybe in the commissioner's budget for the KSPS Spotlight. So we do have some of those existing communications opportunities that you're all taking advantage of already. And we can look to repurpose that content. So you may hear me say, hey, let's redirect that to a Spotlight topic, for instance, and think about what that might look like. But all this content's great for your newsletters, for your social media, for specific stakeholder groups when you take a vote on an issue and you want to make kind of a targeted group aware of some action you've taken, whether it's collectively or individually, an opinion expressed at a board meeting. So again, that's dependent on bandwidth. The video work is a little more intensive, same with some of the graphic design work. But a one-page pamphlet, with some reasonable expectations of timeline, Jessica and I think we can accommodate, a limited number of those requests. If all 5 in 1 week asked for something, you might, but anything that the board has voted majority would be a priority. So the design of the legislative agenda is something we've prioritized. Managing all the spotlights is something we prioritize as a project.
Commissioner
If there's
Jordan.
multiple competing requests, can we do it by numerical district?
Yeah, if I have 3 yes votes.
My seniority.
I should, it's interesting you bring that up. So my other working assumption has been, unless instructed otherwise, when we want a release from the board, that the chair, acting in the spokesperson capacity, will have the key quote. Now, something along the lines of the budget, you may all desire individually to offer a quote. It's a little unwieldy to have 5 quotes in a release from 5 different officials, and I think we have a reasonable expectation the media at most will use 2 on a story, either pro and con position, or there's some contrast in a position they'll be looking for. So I'm happy to always try and accommodate those, but it can be a little unwieldy once you get past 2, 3, and then I feel like we're leaving some folks out. So.
Commissioner French.
So the easiest way to deal with that is just seniority? Just saying.
Yes, so we'll have the chair and the vice chair on the press releases. And then if there's a third slot, it'd go to Mr. French.
Yeah, I think, I appreciate that, because I think it's, trying to make sure that you represent the entire board, first and foremost, the communications department does. So I appreciate you kind of memorializing this to have as protocol, so that way it makes it easier, especially as we transition from somebody else and you're new. And so we've had that transition this year. So I think it's, good to just have us all be aware.
Sure. I appreciate your patience and grace if things change, or I've said one thing and then further consultations yield something else. But I think communication generally will help resolve those issues. More communication is better.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you, members.
Thank you. Are there any other miscellaneous items? Okay, then, Mr. Anderson, I believe you have a couple executive sessions that you want to state?
Yeah, we have two executive sessions. The first one is pursuant to pending potential litigation under RCW 423110-1I. That will involve the board, myself, CO Scott Simmons, Don Hooper from the jail, Mike Sparber, and should take approximately 15 minutes and no action by the board.
Okay, and I see there's someone else from Detention Services. Is he supposed to be in the executive session or not? Oh, no, you don't have to leave now. No, I'm good. Sorry. I was just making sure we weren't missing anybody else that was supposed to be in. Okay, how long I apologize.
That one should take approximately 15 minutes.
15 minutes? And no action?
Correct, no action.
Okay. And then the second one?
Our second one, Commissioner, is under labor negotiations, RCW 4230-140, sub-bullet 4. And in addition to the commissioners, myself, and it'll be Ashley Cameron, Josh Grote, our chief civil deputy, Kyle Tuig, and Matt Zarakor. And that'll be 20 minutes and no action.
Okay. So we're going to go into executive session for a total of anticipated 35 minutes. No action is anticipated at the end of that. So we will then be adjourning for the day. At that point in time, it is 2:20. So what did I just say? 40, 50, so 2:55, if I've got that right? Or is it 2:45? No, it's 55. We plan to be out of executive session, and like I said, we will adjourn for the day. If we do extend, we will let the clerk know, and just say thank you very much for everyone who was here today. Very good.